Now we're moving on to the modulation effect, which is a massive subject. I'm going to be using 4 different effects, starting with phaser, and then flanger, chorus, and finally tremolo. For the phaser, I'm going to be using another KMA Machines pedal. This one's called the Astro Splurt. Again, handmade in Berlin by Enrico Prus. It's analog, but with a couple of extra features which we'll talk about in a little bit. For the chorus, I'm going to be using an Earthquaker Devices C machine. Again, capable of all the classic chorus tones, but with some extra controls in there as well, which they've put on to really explore the outer sound world. I've got another much more traditional chorus pedal. This is the classic Electroharmonix small clone. So think basically Kurt Cobain. It's the kind of analog warm chorus sound rather than the studio police type tones. And finally, one of my favourite pedals. This is the DLS Effects Stereo Tremolo. It's a really warm, really controllable tremolo, everything from the kind of Spy soundtrack through to a real square wave stuttering sound, which we'll look at as well. Okay, here we've got another pedal by KMA Machines, as well as the Moa Maya we used in the pitch chapter. This one's called the Astro Splurt, and it's a phaser. Again, it's got the usual controls you'd expect to find. We're controlling the depth of the outer phaseness, the mix between wet signal and dry signal, and the overall volume, which is perhaps a little less usual to see. And the rather disconcertingly labelled splurt pot actually controls the rate, which you can see via the pulse of the blue LEDs there. Much like the other pedal, it's got some fantastically placed colourful LEDs there on the back of the little spaceship. It's very, very aesthetic. It's also got this emphasised pot, for those of you who want a bit of additional chaos adding to the signal, which you can flick on and off to introduce a kind of random interference into the signal to get some really chaotic sound. But for our classic examples, I'm definitely going to be keeping that in the off position today. For our first example, I've set the phaser to a shallow but fast setting for an 80s rock clean sound. I'm using hybrid picking to really dig in hard and bring out the higher frequencies. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is Earthquaker Devices C machine. It's got all the usual controls you'd expect to find on any chorus pedal: depth, rate and intensity, as well as some more crazy controls which they recommend you keep switched off for standard chorus effects, unless you want to explore the more out-of-the-worldly effects. So for our first one, I'm going to set the rate quite slow so it lasts over the course of about a bar or so, but a higher mix, so the chorus effect is very present, and a lower depth setting so it's not really getting too out of tune. For the first chorus example, I've set the C machine to a very clean sounding, shallow, slow phaser a la Andy Summers. 1, 2, 3, 4. For the second example, I'm using a much deeper but slower rate phaser to give a more univibe sound for the 70s psychedelic effect. This is our tremolo pedal made by DLS Effects. It's a stereo effect, so you can actually process 2 signals, 2 guitars or a guitar and a bass and keep them in sync, but for this one we're just using a single signal. It's actually got a built-in tap tempo, so you can do the rhythmically accurate examples that are also in the book, but for the first example, which is the Spy soundtrack texture, I'm just setting it manually to a slow rate indicated by the LED. Quite a shallow depth and a very round oscillation there. It's also got a warp pot, so I can roll up some of the top end and simulate that vintage tremolo sound as well, so I'll set that quite high.